Now today we're going to be talking about how to rebuild a rudder, specifically a foam cord rudder. This is off of I believe it's a Freedom 35, and it's seen better days. It's full of water, it started to rot and delaminate, so we're going to go ahead and rebuild this. And as an added measure, when everything is all said and done, then we're going to be coming through and applying a barrier coat system using products from Pettit. So mix up a drink, stay tuned, and enjoy the show. Earlier this spring, I was doing some work for this owner on a different part of the boat. I was doing some work on the keel. And while I was there, as part of trying to get the boat ready for launching, the owner had noticed some staining or some discoloration down here on the bottom of this rudder. Now this is obviously before any of these holes were drilled in here, but that's anytime you see staining or discoloration and certainly little drops of water hanging off the bottom of the rudder, that's never a good sign. The long and short of it is that after a few taps and a quick scan with my moisture meter, we had a pretty good idea of what was going on. Can I just say, I hate always being the person to deliver bad news. That's the one part of my job I don't like. It is what it is, and you got to be honest with what you're finding. So, what I suspect is going on is that somehow this water, a lot of water, has gotten into the core of this rudder, and it's started to break down the foam, and as a result, then the glass skin that's on here has started to delaminate and break down as well. One of the telltales that kind of leads me to believe this is the sound. That sound can tell you a lot as far as the condition of the glass and the coring when you're looking at different parts of your boat. What you want to hear when you're tapping around on something is a nice, high, crisp, just a solid sounding tap, something like this. Now, what you don't want to hear is that low, hollow, kind of sick sounding thud. It's just, you know it when you hear it, and it's something like this. We'll see how well the mic picks this up. It sounds like mush. So that actually tells me more than any kind of reading from a moisture meter, because anytime you're using a moisture meter, especially when you're scanning over bottom paint, which a blade of paint, those readings should always be taken with a grain of salt. And the paint itself can throw the accuracy of those readings off quite a bit. So after hearing the sound, they had some holes drilled, along which would be the starboard side of this rudder, and as I suspected, water was just running out. So what we're going to be doing to repair this is all of the material that's in here inside or encapsulated in this rudder needs to get removed and replaced, and then all new glasswork along this side and the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in about 2 inches in from the perimeter, and we're going to cut all the way around, peel this top skin off, and then at that point that'll give us access to get inside and remove all of the foam. Now for doing all the cutting on here, I'm going to be using, it's the Fine Multimaster, and there are a number of other brands out there that operate in a similar way. It just basically oscillates back and forth, and it gives you just a nice, narrow cutting line without, kicking up a lot of dust, because it isn't a spinning blade. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to become a little bit more aware of my health, and I want to protect it. So we're going to put on a good respirator, and I'm going to keep a vacuum running right next to the cutting blade just to try and collect all the dust right at the source. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to go all the way around, staying about 2 inches in from the perimeter, and let's see what we find. Now, before I get started doing any cutting, the first thing I want to do is I want to take some compressed air, and it's nice. And it's set, my regulator is set at a lower pressure. I want to say it's around 30 or 35 pounds. And I'm going to put the nozzle in each one of these little holes and just give it just a short little blast of air. Just because by doing that, it's going to help to separate this top skin from the foam inside. Even though there is some delamination in the foam inside is starting to rot, more than likely there's still going to be some patches in here where it's still secured. So by coming in, I'm hoping that by giving it a little blast, it's just going to help to pop everything apart so that when we actually do our cutting, then the skin will just literally fold right off. So let's see what happens. Woo! Volcano! Nice! Oh, this is fun. Yeah. Woo! Jesus! Nice. I think that's good enough. I'm kind of tired of taking a shower and it kind of stinks. So I was able to see the skin when I gave it a little blast of air. I was able to see the skin of the glass just kind of poof up a little bit. So I think I've gotten the glass separated from the foam. It's got a nice little funk to it. Let's just go ahead and get the skin cut off. Now, for this section of the rudder, when I'm cutting this, I need to be very careful that I don't actually cut all the way through, because this edge is the trailing edge of the rudder as you're going forward through the water, and it's much thinner. Through here where I'm going to be cutting, it's about between the two halves, it's about 1 inch thick, whereas on this side, where we started cutting, it's probably double that, maybe a little bit more. So while I'm cutting along here, I'm going to keep my fingers along the bottom just to make sure that I can, if I do get down a little too far with the blade, I'm going to be able to feel that with this hand, and that'll let me know. Because all I'm looking to do is just remove just the top skin of this one side, and then we'll do all of our work inside and build it back up and out. Well, I got all the cutting done. Now let's peel this off. I'm very curious to see where the water was coming in. Just by looking at it from the exterior, I didn't see anything that was real obvious or anything that stood out to me. So hopefully when we peel this off, we'll be able to see kind of where the water was starting to come in, and hopefully get some answers out of this. So let's keep our fingers crossed. This goes well. Whew, it stinks. Whew. Man. Well, let me do some more slicing and dicing and get some of this removed. This is just like soft, like 4-pound density foam. Not that that has anything to do with the problem, but I'm just very surprised. Normally rudders are built with it's either an 8 or a 16-pound foam. Usually the larger boats use a 16-pound foam, and that stuff is like cement. It's still a foam, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that, or dig it out with my finger. I think since this foam is so soft, I'm going to switch over to a scraping blade on the fin here and see if that can just peel it right out of here. Well, that's a first. Wow. Yeah, I don't even think this is 4-pound foam. It's just like, I'm thinking more like along the lines of like a 2-pound foam, which is just basically stuff that's used for flotation, you know, for like safety. You find it in seats and things quite a bit. I do want to be careful though that I don't pull up the foam underneath this post. There's a post that comes down. Well, I can see a little bit right here, but I'm guessing it should straighten out, and there should be some, you know, metal ears that are sticking out that help to kind of give it some stiffness, you know, while it's turning. And I don't want to dig the foam out from underneath that because I still need to make some jigs and take some measurements so that when I glass or put everything back together, that I'm getting the angle of the pipe and the height the same all the way down. So I do need to be careful of that. I'm going to make a cut with my scraper here down because I don't want to mess with this area on what would be the leading edge. So I don't care about this stuff. I don't want to mess with this because this is where the pipe is. Well, let's just... No kidding. There's no ears. That's different. All right. Look, there's just standing water in here all over the place. And the glass never bonded to the foam. This poor rudder, it never even had a chance. I don't know. I don't know what the designers were thinking when they put this together, but the water wasn't coming in through the sides, bottom, or even the top up here. And this area in through here is typically where you see the most stress, and a lot of times you get cracks that open up and water's able to get in there, or a lot of times you see the cracking or some separation right on the trailing edge because it's so thin. You know, there just isn't a whole lot of glass there. But on this, the water was coming in through the top of this tube, the rudder tube. It's hollow, and so water was able to come in, you know, through here, and basically this was just acting as a funnel. And all the water was able to come in and drained right out the bottom and just saturated the bottom of the foam and then seeped its way up. Crazy, yeah. Well, I was able to get more of a narrow stick all the way through here, and just to see if I can blow anything out. I taped off any of the holes that were up on the top here for when it's mounted up on the boat. And I'm gonna see if I can cap the end with my hand, throw a little compressed air in here and see if we get any action down there. So let's see. Give it a little bit of air. Yay. So anyways, now I know what happened. So now I'm just going to come in, finish today, removing the rest of this foam up and through here and around the perimeter, clean it all up, and my materials won't be showing up until later this week. So I'll just get everything prepped, and then I'm going to be on hold until the new foam comes in. So it is what it is. I didn't design it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen again, but wow.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.